Hi, I'm Felicity, a registered nurse, cosmetic injector, and founder of the Fit Injector Clinic. Welcome to my channel and video podcast streaming on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Today is episode 13, and I have Tandy and Kyle joining me today, the founders of Oola. Welcome to you both. I am so excited to have you here today.
Oh, Felicity, we're really excited to share our story. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
and
so
thank you for emailing me and then walking into my clinic last week, and here you are on the podcast.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
So good. So Tandy and Carl are a mother and son duo team who've created a luxe perfume line, Oola, in the northern beaches of Sydney. Today we're going to be chatting to them about Tandy's background in aesthetics, Kyle's background as a creative designer, and how they came about the idea and launch of Oola. All about their products, their point of difference in the market, and where you can see their products popping up. So let's get into it. Let's start with you, Tandy. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So I'm a pharmacist by training and have
amazing.
spent most of my career in sort of pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
During that time, over a couple of years, I'd have a couple of sideline businesses. We had to do sort of, I had a health shop, which was a retail store for a little while, but mainly in corporate environment. And it was probably about 14 years ago, when I actually set up a company, which was a generic company, which then ended up part of a company called Activus, which was then moved across into an aesthetic company in about 2015, and I found myself in the aesthetic world. And really exciting part there was that I was actually doing business development. So business development is all about finding new products for the pipeline for the aesthetic world. And the exciting part about that was actually knowing that Australia is really an innovative place and there were lots of new products being developed. So I did that for a while, and then after a few years found myself heading up the business unit for body contouring, which was breast implants and a fat freezing device. Did that for a couple of years and then got to sort of meet the aesthetic community. And there's an X factor in this community that's really special.
Totally.
And then moved across into injectables as well.
Yeah,
so,
and we met in what feels like a previous life.
I think we did. So, I think just getting to know this environment and seeing how people, I suppose, come into clinics, and it's about confidence and it's about boosting sort of just how they feel about themselves, and it's a happy place to be. So, it was a great place for me. And I was in the aesthetic world in the corporate side until July this year. And I'll hand over the story to Carl, and then we'll come back to what happened from there onwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my background's a little bit shorter than that. It's still a bit of a fresh one. But I was lucky enough to be in Australia when I grew up. So when I was 14 and 9 months, I think it was, I dove straight into doing some work, and I was actually in retail for a long time. So I had an opportunity to kind of get introduced into retail, and it was a small business as well that I was in at that time. And so I had an introduction to all the business side of things. And obviously with my mother, Tandy, being in business, I thought it was really something I wanted to get into. So following on from school, I decided to jump into a business degree, which was really interesting, and I got a lot out of that. And during that time, I got the opportunity to go overseas. So I spent 8 months in Singapore doing venture capital. So it was more of the startup again, learning what an entrepreneur's life was like and how they live and how they build their businesses. And I thought that was really cool. So I took that opportunity, and I got to learn a lot while I was there. And then I came back and I dove straight into a corporate career in finance. That was something I really enjoyed as well. I thought it was going to be my long-term goal, but things changed over the years. And I got 2 and a bit years into that role, and I thought, I'm at a time in my life where I have no major liabilities, nothing crazy holding me back. So I thought, why not take a dive and stab at something new and a bit more passion-fueled. So I jumped out of that career and started to go a little bit more into the creative side and start to understand, a little bit more about the things I hadn't done before, such as, designing packages, creating a product, starting a business. And then, we got to the point where we started Oola, which we'll dive a little bit more into in a bit. But
I think it was probably during COVID, I suppose for me it was waking up every morning and you realize that your calendar is jam-packed, and it's jam-packed with doing stuff for everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think it was during that period that Carl and I started having this discussion where he was saying to me, how have you done this for this long? And I think corporate career had been really good to me, but there were times when you got this entrepreneurial frustrated spirit that's happening in the background. And when he sort of presented that to me, and I thought, what advice would I give to my 24-year-old self?
Yeah.
It would be, do what you want now. If you're going to jump out, now is the right time to actually do it. So then we went into, how do you actually do that, and brainstormed what would be a great idea.
Yeah.
And fragrance for me was something that has always been part of my life.
Yeah.
When I was actually doing pharmacy and worked in a retail pharmacy store, it would be the fragrances would come in and I'd always look for the one that was new or the one that was a little bit different to everyone else's. And that sort of followed me through. Every time I'd travel, I'd go into like those little niche shops and find something that I would feel would make me smell different to everyone else. I didn't want to smell the same as mainstream, so I was looking for all those little nuanced fragrances.
Street, Bondi Junction, everyone smells like, what is it?
Exactly.
Baccarat at the moment? Yeah.
Exactly. And then the whole lot of knockoffs now that are
the
happening.
dupes.
The dupes all over.
Because I've got a 22-year-old that works for me, so I'm learning all about dupes now. I didn't know what they were until about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so interesting stuff.
Yes. So the different things you liked in the market.
I like to find the different things, So yes. So, and I suppose during that time as well, I'd start collecting fragrance bottles from past eras. And I remember finding one once that had an inscription on it that said Edie Pinard. And then I'd go and do some research. It had a few sort of yellow crystals from probably in there for 100, 150 odd years, and starting the research on the bottle and found that it was actually somewhere in France it was found, and it was sort of found when they actually did some diggings under what used to be a brothel. So, just it has all these little stories about fragrances that were, and it was someone had obviously given the fragrance to someone in there. And so every bottle told a story, and I just liked the idea of fragrances telling a story. And for me, it was how fragrances always made me feel. I mean, if you walked out the door and you didn't have a fragrance on, I felt like there was something missing. Yeah. So made me feel happy, confident, expressed how I was feeling that day or what I was wearing that day. So I think Carl, having, sort of been in the home and watched all this happening, it almost seemed to be, he's into his style, he's into the sort of how he dresses, etc. And so we thought, well, why not? That's a passion, and it's something that, he could possibly set up. So, so from there, I think I'll pass it on to you, because from there you started it off, right?
Yeah. And I do actually remember all the collection. She had a whole massive collection of bottles all the time at home.
It's amazing.
But I guess you get to the point now where you're like, how do you even start a fragrance brand? And because I wasn't working at the time, so I really got to dive right into it. And so obviously there's a few major components to creating a brand, specifically a product, obviously finding the right product. So we spent a few months in the R&D stage, really trying to find the right perfumer. So finding the right person, the right people to help us create fragrances. And we're not a dupe brand, as we were talking before. We're original, so we wanted to create, ones that were, special to us. And so we spent a few months working for a perfumer, and eventually found some people that we really liked. And so we put a brief together. Obviously, coming from the Northern Beaches, such a beautiful place and really serene, tranquil. We really love it. So that really was something we wanted to encompass in our fragrances as well. And so we put a brief together and worked with a perfumer to work down to about 13 fragrances originally. And we took those fragrances and sent them out, and we got some market feedback on them to get, a little bit, or narrow down what we really wanted out of the fragrances and what people really liked about each fragrance. And we were able to narrow it down to the 4 that we have today. That's how the fragrances were created themselves. And then the packaging was the other element that I really needed to focus on. That's where the creative side really came out, because I had the opportunity to dive into Adobe Illustrator and work out how that works. And so, put together the packaging, which we kept really minimalistic. And also with finding a supplier, it was important to find one that was, ethically sourced, like the fragrances, ethically sourced, environmentally sustainable, and making sure it was really high quality as well. So we've kept it minimalist with that luxury feel, but I feel like it fits quite nicely as well in different locations. So it's quite versatile as well to do.
Carl would disappear for hours on end, and you go, "Did you really just pull that together? That's amazing!" And it was actually really amazing to watch this growth. So,
it was really exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Lots of sampling though. Lots of
Oh,
sampling.
I bet. Lots of
back and forth.
Yeah.
We drove a couple of the suppliers mad, I think. Yeah. Can you move this? Can you do that?
These tiny little things, but you wanted to get it perfect. Right?
Exactly.
And your packaging does look absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. So tell us a little bit more about your products and the fragrance range.
Yes. Do you want me to jump into it?
Yeah.
So as I touched on before, obviously being Northern Beaches inspired, we really wanted that to kind of really come through in the fragrances. So each fragrance, it pulls off a little bit of the beaches, and that's how we've kind of got to where they are today. They're obviously also cruelty-free and vegan, and that was part of the process of finding the right perfume as someone who was really sustainably sourcing those ingredients, because you obviously get a lot of ingredients there that can be harmful to the environment or harmful to people. So it was important for us to do that. And I'll let Tandy jump into a bit more about the process.
Yeah. So, we wanted to see, obviously coming back from a bit of a medical, I suppose, science background, I wanted to understand a little bit more about that side. And what I discovered is that fragrances actually have a little bit of a similarity to wines. So they actually have an aging process that they go through. So it happens in two phases. One is actually when it's actually all the essential oils are put together in what they call the juice or the concentrate. And then when that concentrate is mixed into alcohol, there's another aging process there. So there's two aging process and maceration that occurs. So during that trial that we actually ran, what we did was had a look at which fragrance was better at which age, depending on where it actually. We worked with the perfumer on that. So what we have is limited batches. So each fragrance has a specific batch. And so if you purchase a 50 ml of our fragrances, it actually has a number on it out of X amount out of the certain batch. So we do the limited batches. So you're buying a piece of that batch which has been aged in that batch sort of. So, that was something that really was interesting to me to actually understand that it's a bit like aesthetics in when you look at, it's art and it's science in the same sort of, it's sort of a marriage between the two of them. Fragrance there was a similarity between that as well. There's this whole mystique about fragrances, and then there's this whole science piece as well with, how molecules bond and what chemical reaction happens and all of that. So we wanted to pull that all together. And so, so we have a limited batch. And so those are very special bottles that we market. And then the other piece was, often you'll stand in front of a perfume sort of shelf and you go, do I buy eau de toilette? Do I buy eau de parfum? Do I buy parfum? So we did the research on that as well. And went, okay, out of each one of these fragrances, which is the best dilution that it should be at? So parfum is the highest dilution. And we did find that all of our fragrances were different elements of parfum. So they are the highest concentration. We feel that they were the best format for us to have these fragrances in. So, so they're all parfum. So I suppose our point of difference is the inspiration of the Northern Beaches, the fact that it's a limited number of bottles per batch, and they're parfums as well.
Yeah, and I like that they are vegan and sustainable and all of that. Yeah. And then I was reading on your Instagram last night too that they are like gender neutral as well.
Yes,
that's right.
That's really cool, because that often doesn't happen. Like you go to the shop and you've got the female side of perfumes and the male side of perfumes. So I really like that as well.
Thanks, Lucy. Great.
Yeah, amazing. So tell us about your target market for these products.
Sure. So the target market is not that dissimilar to the people that walk into an aesthetic clinic.
Yeah.
Because they're very much sort of people who want to look after themselves, they want to look on the outside, how they feel on the inside. And I suppose how you smell is part and parcel of that. So it's, millennials and Gen Z is where some of it is at. But I think it's anyone who thinks about, the image and what they're putting out there and it's really for yourself. I suppose fragrances is how you feel about yourself. So our target audience would be those people who have, I suppose, that whole, it closes the loop on the whole look, feel and smell piece.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll just jump back one more. Do you want to tell us a little bit about each product individually? Because we've actually got them here, so we can get the little shots. I'll pass these over to you guys.
Okay.
And I'd love to know from each of you which you guys
which
wear day to day. If you've got a favourite for yourselves.
Yes, so we've got 4 fragrances. I'll jump into 2 of them and I'll let you do the others.
Yeah.
Okay, so Santal Soiree is the first one. So Santal actually is... That's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one. Yeah, and you can do that one. Yeah. So
these are your 2 favourites each then?
We have, it depends what time of the day.
Depends,
Right?
yeah.
What time of the day? So Midnight Rose, I'll do Midnight Rose. And Carl can do Le Bonbon.
The younger crowd
like that. Yeah, you read that right. So so Santal Soiree. So the inspiration behind Santal Soiree was about sunrise and sunset. So it's a delicate fragrance. So it starts with a couple of sweetish notes, but then it goes more to earthy, woody finish. And it can be worn day and night. So that's more of a delicate fragrance. And also, as we said, it's gender neutral.
Yeah.
Midnight Rose. So this one, even though it says rose, it's an exotic fragrance. So it moves through from a sweet sort of aroma through to fruity, fresh, and then goes on to a more woody, exotic, sweet, spicy kind of fragrance. So it's a lot more exotic. So you could imagine Santal Soiree would be probably day and night, I would probably wear it, just as a general fragrance. Midnight Rose might be going on a date or somewhere where you're sort of feeling exotic. That would be that fragrance in that space. So Carl, I'll pass the other 2 on to you.
So Le Bonbon, as you said, it is quite a sweet scent, and it's what we would describe as our fun scent, because it's a little bit more fun. It's a bit more out there. It's exciting, and what's nice about it is it's quite sweet, but it's balanced by these kind of floral notes and these woody notes. So initially it is a bit sweeter, but then it sits quite nicely and goes into those kind of more floral and woody smells.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice scent. It can be used, a lot of people wear it, I would say, hot summer days, they really like it, but it is quite versatile and can be used, whenever. And the second one is Fume. So Fume is a really bold scent. It is woody, but it's got that smokier kind of finish to it. So it's a little bit more bold. I'd say, dressing up really nicely and wanting to feel really confident. That's kind of where Fume fits in really well. And personally, it's hard to pick a favorite. It's hard to pick a favorite, but
it's like picking a favorite child. Right?
It is. Yeah. But I'd say probably Fume. That's the one I wear the most. I like that bold kind of confidence.
I walk around the house going, "Oh, that's what you smell like."
You probably have these do you have these little guessing competitions? What are you wearing?
Yeah. The amazing thing is I think since we've actually sort of started this and, because I've been now obviously in it from about July, because I decided that was when I'd sort of joined Carl with this. Is how you're so aware of the fragrances that, as you're walking down the street, I can pick that one, I can pick that one. It's really interesting.
I had a 3-hour moment in Mecca once doing the whole smelling everything. Yeah.
Driving yourself crazy probably. Yeah. That's so good. And I love that you've got a few different sizes. So these are your...
These are 10 mil.
10 mil.
10 mil.
And then this is 50 mil. Such a beautiful bottle. That should probably get on the screen there. That's lovely. And then you've also got your little travel pack too.
Yes.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. So, so each of them come in the 50 mil and the 10 mil.
Hope you're enjoying this podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by the Fit Injector Clinic Mentoring Program, business mentoring for cosmetic nurse injectors. If you are a registered nurse who wants to become a cosmetic injector or an existing cosmetic injector who wants to start their own business or scale up your existing business, I have just launched an online version of my mentoring program with video modules for you to work through in your own time, downloadable information for you to keep, and a strategy call once you've completed that with me for 30 minutes to answer any questions that you have about starting or scaling up your business. If you want to get started, email me at admin@thefitinjector.com.au.
And then the travel collection is the 4 of these, which is the atomizers together.
Yeah.
And then there's also a discovery collection, which is the 2.5 mil
like sample
kind of testers.
size.
Yeah. So if you have,
yeah.
not sure you want to get, you can take those and test them
which
out.
is great. You've
Yeah.
sort of thought of everything there for people to, I guess, like try it.
Yeah, exactly.
Before they commit to one.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing. One, I've got a question I was thinking of as we're chatting before I go on to the next point is how have you guys found the transition to working together?
Oh, we knew this one would come up.
Because I think we're talking about you guys at home and the sense, and I'm like, so what's the dynamic like here?
It's really interesting. It's been probably, I think for me, this has been the diamond in all of this piece for me. Yeah, I think not many mums would say you get to actually see this side of your child.
Yeah.
And just, watching Carl and going, wow, he actually knows that. Oh, he's amazing. He's actually done that. Yeah, and then there are other moments where we kind of go, enough. I need to go for a walk. It's sort of,
I need some space from you.
Space. So, that has been interesting. I'm not sure how you feel.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool. I mean, you don't really get the opportunity, and I mean, I don't think a lot of people get the opportunity to work with their parents at all. So it's a really cool opportunity, and I've obviously learned a lot from my mother through the years. So it's really cool to actually put that in action together. And I mean, we both bring really interesting dynamics to the business. So it's really good. Yeah.
I mean, I think if I have to think back on my days of marketing, it was very different to what's happening now. So, setting up a business, having the business experience is one thing. Being able to market properly and, using social media and understanding algorithms and understanding what should be posted where, and there's all this clutter. Yeah. So Carl brings all that to this piece, and I suppose it's also keeping me aligned with, what the new things are and actually staying ahead of all of that too.
So you can both bring really amazing things to this, which is so good. So what does I'm going a little bit off topic, but what does a typical day look like for you guys then? A typical work day?
So I think we've got into this rhythm now. Now Carl's very much of gym junkie. So sort of like we got one of those ring doorbells and it goes ding dong at about 4:30 in the morning.
Priority.
Yeah. It goes priority 1. I'll get up and go for a walk at about 6, and then our day starts at about 9 o'clock. So we've sort of chunked our days into, there's a lot of background work in starting up a business, as you know, Felicity, it's just making sure you got systems and processes in place, and then sort of a list of customers and, who you're going to see, and your messaging and your core values. And so a lot of it is sort of background work. And then we have specific days where we actually come out and see customers as well. So it's still, I think we're still getting into a lot more rhythm of our days basically start at 9. We'll work through until about lunchtime. We actually make an effort to take lunch, which I think in previous life you'd work through lunch and realize actually no, we need the time out.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a full-on day. I'll admit it's a full-on day, but it is it's we like to start our morning off, do the separating, and then come back together. Separate, come back together, and then separate, and then we're done.
That's good. You know those sort of boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have your time out.
Correct.
Yeah,
and also I think the other piece was also the first couple of introductions when I was introduced as this is Tandy, my business partner, it was like,
mum's out the window. That would have been funny.
Okay.
And
I think the other piece, which has been really good, is actually being able to challenge each other. Because the dynamics and learning that the dynamics in the business are now, we don't always see eye to eye on everything. And, and often I'm the one that gets challenged, and it's like, actually, you're right.
And having to say to Carl, actually, you are right.
Correct.
It takes a while, though.
It does.
Oh, that's so good. I love that insight. Tell us about your clients and your product.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll jump into that. Clients-wise, really looking for clients that want to or share the same vision, same values as us as well. And obviously fun to work with. It's being a kind of startup business, there's a lot going on. So you want it to be exciting, you want it to be fun, and you want to be working and going along the journey with the people that are stocking your products. So
that's and I meant to say, sorry, clients and product location. I just didn't move my...
That's right. So really working with those kind of people. And then in terms of location, we're currently in New South Wales and we're in South Australia.
Great.
And obviously rolling out from there as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, do you want to go into more specific?
We're in sort of exclusive boutiques. We're in really high-end spas as well, and obviously medical aesthetic clinics, because that's one of my sort of really close to my heart.
So you're really sort of picking out these places.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as I said to you, the beginning part was how did I feel about fragrances, and it was wanting this almost like this, oh, well, you can't get it everywhere, you know, it's a secret, and there's a bit of a word of mouth piece as well, that exclusive feel to it. And we wanted to maintain that. So our intent is not to end up, you know, in massive discount mainstream, but to actually be
with a yellow
fragrance.
ticket in Chemist Warehouse.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. No. It's way too beautiful for that.
Yeah. And I think it's been, you know, because it's a fragrance that we could kind of briefed to be different, it's taken time to get there as well. So,
absolutely. And I guess for you, Tandy, you know, you're so, with your background, you're so used to like being in clinics and spas and having that connection with clients. You probably really still enjoy doing that.
Oh, I love doing that.
But the fact that it's your own business now, so it's even better.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And I think it's just, you know, you spend so many hours of your life working.
Yeah.
Why not have fun while you're doing it? You know, I think for me, it's about making sure we're living what we dreamed, and you know, the commercial aspect is great, and that, you know, hopefully will follow, but it's just having fun during the day and being able to manage your own time, as in calendar wise. Yes, you're busy, but it's you've decided where you're going to be busy. It's a different busy.
Busy. Yeah. And, you know, like you said at the start, you know, when this idea came out through COVID, I think, you know, as tough as COVID was for people, so many incredible ideas and businesses were actually started because people had that time to sit down and go, what am I doing? And am I really happy doing what I'm doing?
Exactly.
So that's really cool. Now, events. So can we expect to see you guys at any expos or conferences in 2024?
So absolutely. So we're busy now planning for next year, and absolutely is our intent to be at as many events next year as we possibly can probably afford at that stage.
Well,
but yes, absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, it's a lot. I had to, especially with opening this clinic this year, everyone's like, oh, why aren't you coming to this week-long one here and this week? And I'm like, no, I had to cut down to like single day things this year, because I was like, it's hard to take the time, you know, away from your business to go to these things. But it is also, I suppose the flip side is getting to, you know, meet masses of people that would be interested in your product. Yeah. Well, looking forward to hopefully seeing you guys at some things next year. So where can people find you if they'd like to stock your products?
Yeah, so on the website, we've got a thing at the bottom near the footer that says become a stockist. So you can reach out there. Otherwise, just reach out to us directly. So our email is info@oola.com.au. But we'll just get back in contact with whoever reaches out.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And Oola, when we ever get asked how to spell it right, it's UULA. You can't say W because it doesn't work.
Some people are right. They wonder why their emails bounce. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 13 of this video podcast series. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. A huge thank you to Tandy and Kyle from Oola for joining me today. Thanks so much, guys. That was awesome to chat to you and learn about your business and your products and this cute little dynamic going on here.
We're really grateful, Felicity. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And just to let you know, your clinic is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Bye. Cut.